Hello people, we are back with another MonsterVerse video, and this time it's about Kong. Our beloved Titan is growing old, and that shows up in his appearance, most recently in the last MonsterVerse movie, Godzilla x Kong, The New Empire. Since being introduced in 2017's Kong Skull Island, he is buffed up inside, grown a beard, gotten scarred and bruised, and developed a rotten tooth. As much as we hate to admit it, Kong appears aged with each of his movie appearances, and in today's video, we are going to explore some possible reasons behind it, other than the obvious fact that he's clocked a few too many years on Earth. So let's get started. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The significant changes in Kong's appearance. First, let's take a look at how Kong has evolved over the years. In his first MonsterVerse appearance, Kong is introduced as an adolescent Titan inhabiting Skull Island. Kong's parents were killed by the predatory amphibious Skullcrawler just after Kong's birth. Baby Kong was sealed off in a cave just in time, and he witnessed the harrowing death of his parents. Vowing to protect every life form on Skull Island from the vicious Skullcrawlers in the future, he eventually became the king of Skull Island and kept the Skullcrawler population in check till the humans arrived on his home island in the 2017 movie, and all hell broke loose. The film is set in 1973, which means in MonsterVerse lore, Kong was a juvenile in the 70s, and he was in similar shape in the flashback scene of the year 1944. As per official stats, adolescent Kong stood at a height of 104 feet and weighed 158 tons, which is the weight of 10 large-sized school buses. And honestly, it's not that awe-inspiring for a kaiju of Kong's stature. By the time of Kong's second MonsterVerse film, that is 2021's Godzilla vs. Kong, decades have passed in the MonsterVerse lore, and this ape titan had the time to fully grow out into his adult form, reaching a height of 337 feet. That is almost as big as Godzilla. We don't think Kong increased in size anymore in his third, and so far last movie, that is this year's The New Empire, but undoubtedly, he shows some significant signs of aging. For example, Kong's fur started growing darker in Godzilla vs. Kong, and his face was surrounded by a scruffy beard. Subsequently, in Godzilla x Kong, he shows visible graying and lightening of the fur, and has a longer beard, not because these are in vogue, but because he is aging. His fur is not only grayer, but also appears thinner and patchier at some places. Kong's eyebrows are bushier, and so is the fur along his shoulders and face, which have faded to become grayish-white. Kong's change in design was the idea of Godzilla x Kong director Adam Wingard, who said in an interview, quote, "With Kong, I wanted to give him some sort of new look as well. We grew his beard out and gave him a little bit more gray hair and stuff. In addition, Kong has more visible scars now than before. Initially, Kong had scars on his nose, chest, and torso, and by 2024, he has lengthy battle wounds running along his back. And that's just one of the many new ones. Also, if you look closely at Kong's eye, there's a certain lightening of the color. It's nowhere as cloudy as Scar King's eye. Scar King being the ancient titan who was around for centuries, but there's some reduction in the sharpness of Kong's eye. Also, Kong may be way stronger and more hardened by now, but his movements are less agile and more labored compared to his earlier depiction. But that's not to say Kong has grown any less formidable. He continues to be the titan who bows to no one and is forever ready to punch the bejesus out of Godzilla. Kong's age-related vulnerabilities show up most prominently in the form of a tooth problem, which prompts this ape titan to emerge on the surface from his hollow earth residence, groaning in pain. While chomping on a wart dog, Kong howls in pain and decides to seek help from his human companion. Kong is immediately attended to by the Titan vet named Trapper, who lowers himself inside Kong's mouth, discovers the infection, and gives this Titan a fancy tooth replacement. The source of Kong's tooth ailment is never revealed, leaving one to speculate it could be a sign of aging. Wingard, however, had a hilarious explanation to Kong's tooth situation, saying he once suffered from unbearable toothache himself, and having a scene where Kong is getting some dental work done felt like closure to him. So, why does Kong look so aged of late? Hashtag Kong had a growth spurt during his cinematic career. Now that we know Kong looks older and wiser, let's explore the possible reasons that may have accelerated his aging process. And at the top of our head is his rapid growth spurt in the movie. As we pointed out before, Kong went from being 104 feet in his first MonsterVerse movie to 337 feet in his next, which is a massive size jump, even for a gigantic species like Kong. But we have to consider the fact that Kong's tripling in size happened over the course of 50 years, because Kong's first MonsterVerse film is set in 1973, and his second one, Godzilla vs. Kong, is set 5 decades later in 2024. Moreover, there was a tiny detail in Kong, Skull Island, which has been majorly overlooked. That stated that Kong's growth rate would dramatically increase as the years pass, and this itself establishes that Kong has been on a faster evolving spree than any other Titan for 50 long years, which aged him considerably. Kong's transformation into an adult must have stopped sometime in the last 50 years, following which he started showing signs of growing old. Thus, Kong has taken on the appearance of an old, wise ape, despite not living as many Titan years, because we know Titans live on for thousands and even millions of years, and Kong is nowhere near celebrating his millionth birthday. Hashtag, Kong's species may have a shorter lifespan than other Titans. This brings us to our second point. Interestingly enough, Kong's rapid growth could be a sign of a faster life cycle, which is particular to his species. While other Titans age extremely slowly, as they have to live out for thousands of years, Kong's species may have a comparatively shorter lifespan, which makes them grow old relatively faster. As per Monsterverse, Kong comes from a lineage of gigantic gorilla-like apes from Hollow Earth. When Kong's kind engaged in a war with Godzilla's ancestors, they were forced to exit Hollow Earth and emerge onto the surface, which was Skull Island. Monarch describes Kong's super species as the primary template of all human life because of their huge size compared to our primate. Just to be clear, Kong's species is not to be confused with Scar King's simian roots, who managed to survive within the deep, dark caverns of Hollow Earth for millennia. As per a viral chat screenshot from a few years ago, director Wingard once told a fan that Kong is a few hundred years old, equating it with mid-40s in human years. Hashtag, a destabilizing Skull Island accelerated his aging. Our next point is also from a viral screenshot, in which Wingard explained what he was thinking while giving Kong an aged look. Kong was best adapted to the Skull Island ecosystem and weather, which was ruined by a massive storm generated by Ghidorah's arrival in 2019's Godzilla, King of the Monsters. The cyclones generated by Ghidorah's wing, combined with the storm cells around Skull Island, resulted in the island being perpetually shrouded in stormy weather. This drastic change in the environment caused Skull Island to gradually destabilize. As per Wingard, Skull Island kept Kong younger and more energized, but when the island started weakening, it accelerated Kong's aging process. In Godzilla vs. Kong, the Titan organization named Monarch had created a gigantic dome on Skull Island to protect Kong. Inside the dome, they artificially replicated Skull Island's atmosphere, but despite that, Kong's health was somewhat deteriorating. The destabilization of the island and Kong's fully grown size are what prompted Monarch scientist Dr. Eileen Andrews to relocate Kong to his original homeworld, the Hollow Earth. Hashtag, multiple habitat changes took a toll on Kong. When we first meet Kong in Monsterverse, he was the chest-thumping, beast-devouring, skull-crawler-beating King of Skull Island. Kong was thriving in Skull Island and living his best life. What we are getting at is, following the events of King of the Monsters, Kong had to give up the comforts of Skull Island and adapt to multiple new environments, which may have sped up the gray on his fur and the wrinkles on his face. First, he was put inside the Monarch Dome, with an outpost monitoring his whereabouts round the clock. Even Kong was aware of it, as he was seen uprooting a tree and hurling it like a spear at the dome's wall, which was artificially made to appear like the sky. First, Skull Island's changed atmosphere, now an artificial setting. These relocations to different habitats must have taken a toll on Kong's health, aggravating his aging process. That was not it. Kong was becoming too large to be contained inside the dome, and he had to be transported to a Hollow Earth portal in the hopes that Kong would make his way to his original homeland. And so he did, which means Kong had to adapt to another new environment. Hashtag, Kong's life in Hollow Earth has been an adventurous but difficult. In Godzilla vs. Kong, the ape titan instantly adapted to the Hollow Earth setting, picking a fight with the warbat and showing them who's boss. He even discovered the temple of his ancestors, an ancient axe that his ancestors fought with, and took his rightful position on the throne. Kong has never felt more at home than this. But life is not all rosy in Hollow Earth. While he was well aware of the dangers of Skull Island and its many monsters, Kong is a newbie on Hollow Earth, and he must navigate his way through the many challenges. In the new Empire movie, Kong is still discovering uncharted territory, one of which brings him face to face with Scar King. An average day in the life of Kong in Hollow Earth looks like getting pursued by hordes of the bloodthirsty wart dog, trapping them in a rock slide and bathing their blood. In Godzilla vs. Kong, the ape titan defeated Mechagodzilla and signed an unofficial peace treaty with the G-Man, and he has been living in Hollow Earth ever since. And in the 3 years that have passed since then, Hollow Earth's lifestyle struggle, though fit for a titan of Kong's stature, has surely caused damages to his body, making him appear more rugged and in turn more mature than he really is. Hashtag Kong has grown wiser and battle-worn in terms of experience. Physical appearance aside, Kong has gained much wisdom and battle experience over the course of his cinematic appearance. From being a Lone Ranger in 2017's Skull Island, where he was primarily concerned with keeping the Skullcrawlers underground and their boss in check, Kong has come a long way. First, he dared to ignore Ghidorah's alpha call in King of the Monsters and chose to remain on Skull Island instead of showing up in the midst of the battle in Boston. Secondly, having grown almost as large as Godzilla, Kong faced off against the G-Man not once, but twice in Godzilla vs. Kong. Thirdly, Godzilla should thank his stars that Kong was around to strike the final blow to Mechagodzilla in Hong Kong. Subsequently, in the last MonsterVerse release, Kong was brave enough to summon Godzilla, fully knowing that the G-Man would be alarmed by his presence on the surface and try to take him down. It is Kong who delivers the knockout strike to Scarcade and becomes the leader of the apes, who were enslaved in Hollow Earth all this while. Kong, who is so far believed to be the only surviving member of his kind, is now fit to guide an entire army of apes, which only brings out his leadership skill and wisdom to the forefront. Thus, thematically, Kong appears more aged to show that he has grown more experienced. Marvelous verdict. All said and done, Kong is living proof that age is just a number, and we wouldn't have it any other way. While his graying hair and scruffy beard might point to the fact that Kong is growing old in terms of Titan, his overall persona also reflects his transformation into a powerful and experienced Titan. And we can't wait to witness more of Kong in action in future MonsterVerse movies, especially with the Ice Titan Shimo by his side. So, that's it for today, folks. Your fellow Monsterhead is signing out for now, but we promise to be back with more kaiju content. See you super soon. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.